up, YouTube? It's Coach Cory, and today we got some more update sneak peeks. This time we're going over the brand new Crow remodel, the new environment, how to use in-game emotes and everything about them, and also some crazy balance changes, including a brand new star power. Oh, and you might be wondering, what's up with this different background, and why do I sound different? Well, actually, I'm on vacation right now, but I'm not stopping vacation to not get these videos out for you all. I'm gonna have every update sneak peek, so do not worry about that. And also, I forgot my mic at home, so I had to go and buy a new one, but that will also not stop me. So let's do it. Oh, and by the way, we got more sneak peeks coming soon, so if you don't want to miss them, definitely subscribe. If you want the notification to see it as soon as possible, hit the bell. Alright, so first of all, here is the Crow remodel in its finest, and you can also see an icon for an emote. That's going to appear on every single brawler on their homepage. We're going to go over how to use emotes and how to select emotes in a moment. But first of all, Crow remodel at its best. He's got a real big chain now, looking pretty solid. Let's go ahead to White Crow. White Crow honestly looks amazing, in my opinion. He kind of looks like Pimp Daddy White Crow is honestly what I want to call him, with all the gold, and he's got the gold chain, he's got the eye patch. I mean, he looks pretty freaking sweet. If you're not buying White Crow, I honestly would recommend it. Looks like a nice skin. Technically has attack animations with white feathers instead of blue daggers. Not a huge difference, but a small one, and it's a nice looking skin. Now, for the in-game emotes, if you click on that emote on every single brawler's homepage, that is where you can select what emotes you want. You can only have 4 possible emotes: a happy one, a sad one, an angry one, and a special one. By the way, the Frank emote you see, that is just a dev build accident. That is not, Crow will not have Frank emotes. Don't worry about that. So you can select what emote you want in those. You can only have one of each. And then, of course, once you select what emotes you want, go ahead, go in game. You click on those 3 dots, and then it pops up a menu for 4 emotes, and then also an option to mute all emotes from any enemy appearing. Now, also, you can only emote once every 10 seconds, so you can't just completely spam emotes. And also, you might be wondering, what if I emote and then go into a bush? Will the enemy see me? No, the enemy will not see you, and maybe if I didn't say this, but both enemy and ally can see all emotes if you don't have them muted. So pretty freaking sweet. I think this is a great addition to Brawl Stars. Alright, now let's go over some of the craziest balance changes we've had in a while, and also you'll see the new environment and some of the gameplay in the background. Also, there are a lot of new maps. Every single gameplay I'm going to show you is going to be on a new map, except for one of them, which will be on the new environment. Alright, let's start out with the nerfs. First of all, Sprout is getting a pretty big nerf. Not only is his super going to take 1 more hit to charge, technically a 25% nerf to how fast the super charges, but also his first star power, one of the best parts about him, is getting a really big nerf. Now it takes 5 seconds to charge, but whenever you throw it, it will always be activated whether you hit someone or not. Before, you would only get that extra explosion radius when you didn't hit something or hit someone. Now it doesn't matter, you will always get the wider explosion radius, but you only get it every 5 seconds. So as you can see, Sprout now has that larger bar, but overall he's going to be throwing this a lot less in any sort of fight. And also, unlike some of the other third bars you see above where it relates to ammo, like with BB you need to have full ammo, with Mortis, Coiled Snake you need full ammo, with Sprout it doesn't matter if you have full ammo or not, he will always be charging that if it's not full. So while this is maybe not the nerf a lot of us were expecting, it's definitely an interesting one, and I'm sort of glad Supercell took a route to really nerf that first star power. Next nerf goes to Gene. We'll go over this one quickly because it's not as exciting as the others. He gets a little bit over 5% nerf to his health. Definitely justified. Gene was a crazy strong brawler. He's still going to be pretty good for sure, but definite justified needed nerf. Next, Jackie is getting some interesting changes. First of all, technical buff. Jackie will now have 3 gadget uses instead of 2, but there's a nerf to the gadget. Now, instead of a 30% increase in speed, it is a 20% increase in speed. And I will show you a comparison for how fast Jackie will now be later on, because there's another movement speed change to someone else, and I'll do them both at the same time. But otherwise, Jackie's also getting a 4% nerf to her health. Overall, I think this is a nerf. Even though Jackie would have 3 gadget uses instead of 2, that might be more of a buff to something like Siege, but I think that 30% speed increase was so huge, it just allowed Jackie to completely overwhelm enemies. Now I think it's going to be a lot harder for Jackie to completely overwhelm enemies. You're going to have to be closer to them in order to be able to catch up to them. So we're just going to have to adjust to when is the best time to use Jackie's gadget. There'll be less amazing scenarios for Jackie's gadget and more good ones, essentially, or more okay scenarios, because we'll just have it one more time. And while the health nerf was pretty small, it was definitely needed. She was way too hard to kill with the damage reduction star power and just her high health. All right, now into the buffs, and let's go on to the other movement speed ones so you guys can see the comparison. Now, Dynamite's gadget will give him an increased movement speed. Let's freaking go. Dynamite the spinner is now an even faster spinner. That's right. And actually, I think this is a really good buff to Dynamite. This really allows him to play a lot more aggressively, and as a brawler who can be quickly overwhelmed by people who have fast movement speed stuff, he didn't really have a great way to escape. You could sort of die to jump, but it was kind of unreliable, and you might prefer the damage to a super, because that was definitely a good damage boost. Now, he can escape with that gadget. It has even more uses, or he can be really aggressive, run forward with the gadget, catch up to enemies, and chase after them. There's a lot of really good ways for this gadget. Now, also, here is the comparison for this gadget. We got Jackie, fast movement speed, Crow, Dynamite, and max speed. Of course, max is still the fastest, but you can see Dynamite, Jackie, and Crow now all move at a pretty similar speed using their gadget at the same time as just a Crow normal running. So they're not going to be moving crazy fast. For Dynamite, though, that's a really good buff. You can also see for Jackie that her speed is not really that crazy anymore compared to what it was before. Next big change goes to Gale, and you guys sort of saw this in the Brawl Talk, but it also goes even further. Yes, his attack is now smaller and has 6 projectiles, so overall it should be slightly easier to deal more damage. I think technically this is a nerf to Gale in the fact that he now, his attack is a smaller width. There's no getting around. The smaller your attack is, the less overall chance you have to hit someone, right? So that is technically a nerf, but I think this is what needed to happen for Gale. And now if he needs another buff after this to his attack, his super will now push enemies back even further. So I think this is a really big buff to Gale. Now he can, once he super someone, he can just keep on walking and attacking and fire his spam his attacks right away. And combine this with his stun star power, it's now going to be even easier to stun someone since they'll be pushed further back. You're now more likely to push them into something and get that stun. And now since you're not being pushed back, you can just attack right away. So this is definitely a good buff for Gale. That's the bigger buff, honestly. I think the changes to his super is a much bigger buff, in my opinion, than the change to his attack. Although, that one we definitely need to get used to and see. That one's, I think, a small buff, maybe. Although, as I said earlier, a small nerf in that you're not going to be getting as many hits overall. All right, we'll go over the new star power in a moment, but here is, I guess, the last buff, depending on if the new star power you think is a buff or not. First of all, Nani is getting some changes. Increased health by a little bit over 8%, so needed as a very low health brawler, glass cannon with slow reload speed. If you missed your shots with super low health and not crazy long range, you just felt dead. So this is definitely good to get a little bit more survivability. The other change, now Nani's attack projectiles, if you miss your target, will now go slightly further. Overall, this should just make it feel a little bit better about whether you hit your shot or not. This buff sounds really weird because if you think about it, if you miss, why do you care if it goes further or not? Right, but I think what it is now when the orbs connect, if the enemy isn't there, it will slightly travel a little bit further. Instead of just stopping where the orbs connect, it'll keep going slightly further. Technically, not a huge change. I do think it feels a little bit easier after playing Nani, that it does, aiming feels a little bit better. It feels like I'm more likely to hit my shot slightly. Maybe it was kind of hard to tell, honestly, but that's how it felt. All right, now the huge star power change is to Mr. P. First of all, Tin Can is no more. It is going to be gone from the game in the next update. And he has a new star power in place of it called Revolving Door, which makes his porters spawn 3 seconds faster. So now before, his porters would take 4 seconds to spawn. Now they'll take 1 second to spawn after they get defeated. This is a really crazy change. Before, Tin Can was useful for really immediate tanking. If you needed a crazy strong tank, 6,000 health porter turret, and then another 2,000 health spawning out, that was crazy immediate tanking. Now he doesn't have that at all, but say you're in bounty, you have almost constant annoyance every time I think this is actually a solid, or going to be a really solid star power. His first star power is also really good, though. The extra range is also really good for Mr. P. Now, if it's a map with a lot of walls, this new star power is always going to be the better star power. And it's, I think, going to be really strong. Personally, I think this is going to be at least a top half star power, maybe even better than that. I think it has potential to be really good. Of course, you can sometimes try to ignore the porters, but for certain brawlers who do not deal with Mr. P's porter really well, this will be really hard for them to face a Mr. P now if that Mr. P has this star power. Well, we got more sneak peeks coming soon, so if you don't want to miss them, definitely subscribe. And if you want the notification so you see it as soon as possible, definitely hit the bell. But that's going to be it for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Do hope you enjoyed, and I'll catch you later. Peace.